Hey, welcome back everybody. I'm picking up where we left off last time and continuing to develop the beautiful space junk. That's the name of my colony. The game is Oxygen Not Included, and I've been playing through the Thermal Update branch, which was recently added onto the distribution through Steam in their beta testing branch. So it's not in the main branch yet. But there's a bunch of new features, so I plan on exploring most of them. Where did we leave off? Well, let's take a look at the report. Oxygen generation is, we're running an oxygen deficit. We do have a power surplus, and we have a calorie surplus. Okay, so I guess our priority should be oxygen generation. So maybe that's what I'll worry about next. What's the state of the... Actually, everything is breathable here. I guess we're fine. Fine for now. Oh, that's... I remember now. This is where our hatch farm... Or hatch... our coal farm was going to be. We're going to feed the hatch our crap minerals. And, as I recall, there was an issue with hatches and getting eaten by... Okay, yeah, forget I said anything. I do need a better way. Hatches will wander around on the ground floor though, so I don't want one accidentally walking out of this air, even though it's not possible for hatches to open airlocks. By hatch, I mean the creature and not the opening, which we will then henceforth call airlocks and not hatches to avoid confusion. What I really want is an opening that is not parallel with the, not perpendicular with the floor, so the hatch can't accidentally get out if one of my duplicates happens to walk in or out accidentally. So what I'm going to do, I am going to deconstruct this door, make that a solid wall, build a ladder up and a ladder down, and the hatch will actually go here. The hatches cannot climb ladders, so it will definitely not be able to get out of there. I want to confine it in a smaller area, so let's also put in a wall for now, just so I can safely mine this other cavity without having to worry about the hatch. It's probably more space than the hatch needs. And let's finish off this wall. Lakes, nope. There we go. Let's dig you up for later when I establish a farm. I guess that's the next thing I want to do. I also want to get research going so I can start researching upgrades. Specifically things like farms, so just so I can grow mealwood and make meals that require less water than mush bars, because conserving water early is important. What will I... Okay, let's see. I also want to consider where the heat is going to go. So I want to put my hot things, because heat will rise, I want to put my hot things above the living areas. So heat will not... it won't heat up the things below it. So my living quarters, for instance, and my farms, which are very temperature sensitive, will not suffer from excess heat. Here's a note about duplicate temperature. Game reminding me duplicates don't like being too hot or too cold. You should be able to get out of here, right? No, it's just your idle. That's fine. Okay. Let's dump out the raw minerals in here. And then we'll make sure that we can store the coal that the hatch generates in there. There we go. Everything should be fine. I guess shouldn't need to build that. There we go. It looks like we do need more storage. Our minimal storage is already kind of full. Alright. What was I going to build? Oxygen generation, and also, let's see. So, one thing I might mention, a handy little tip that was passed on to me. Now, I only want poop, or well, polluted dirt to go in this specific storage compactor. I don't want it being stored anywhere else in the base because it generates toxic gas wherever it's stored. Now I could I could enable polluted dirt storage in this one and then disable it in all these other places, which in fact I have done. Right, this one, for instance, these ones, they'll accept all organics except for polluted dirt and slime, but that's a big pain in the ass to do with every new storage compactor. What I can do instead, set the priority for the storage compactor to slightly higher than default, so 6 instead of 5. And every other storage compactor I build can simply have the all tag flipped on. And even though this one technically accepts polluted dirt, this one has a higher priority. So a dupe who is looking to store poop can store it over here. He'll look to this storage compactor first, and thus poop never gets stored here. Handy little tip. Has made my life immeasurably easier. Alright, what was I saying? I want to start on research and additional oxygen generation. I want to leave this space above the printing pod for more living quarters, just so they too can benefit from the decor bonus in the proximity. So let's drill out a little bit of the terrain over here instead. Guess we'll have to excavate this. And then I suppose we'll start building our research station. I always like to build 2 of them. I'm going to use the regular old electrical wire for now, but keep in mind later on, when the electrical system starts getting really complex, I'm going to want to upgrade existing electrical wire to heavy watt wire, so that the electrical grid isn't as prone to overloading, which can damage both machines and the actual wiring itself. Of course, I have to research that, which is why it's not available right now. One thing to consider though, heavy watt wire costs approximately triple the amount of metal ore, I believe, as a regular electrical wire, so it's quite expensive. And for that reason, it's actually worth constructing your base with multiple separate grids. So prior to this patch, it was common just to hook everything into the same grid because there was no concern about overloading. But that is now a problem because it's possible for grids to overload. And so it's best practice to keep grids isolated from one another. What that does mean, unfortunately, is that you have to have a diverse what's the best way to put this? A diversity of power generation options, especially ones you can turn on or off. So coal generators, for instance, most generators will not generate power in excess of the needs of the grid, which is handy. Specifically regarding the manual generators here, or the other ones you can build, once the batteries are full, they stop consuming coal, or dupes stop running on the treadmill here. So they don't consume whatever resource they consume to make power. Alright, I suppose we can start research now. Right. I suppose nope, that's the wrong button. First thing I want to research will probably be farming, just so I can start with the planter box and the compost heap. So let's queue that up first. Now we pick the product we want the station to produce is novice research, and we could produce it in discrete units like this, or I could just say make research indefinitely until I change my mind. I'm going to do the same with this other station here. Okay, okay. Now the thing is, I only have 3 duplicates, and 2 of them are now sort of permanently busy researching, which means any further buildings will be, any further construction will be very slow. This is a reason why I might want to accept more duplicates as they become available. Or alternately, I can, throttle back the research. I find, so having played longer games, I find having 2 research stations is about all I'll ever need. I mean, it gets, every tier of research requires 20 novice research. Now, the higher tiers require, or I should say first and second tiers require 20 novice research, and then they start requiring increasing amounts of expert research, which is when you need the supercomputer. You generally don't need more, in my experience, you generally don't need more than 2 research stations. Yep, so we'll leave them to get on that. Alright, what was the next concern? I guess, so they've got some research going. Eventually we'll need space for the farm that they research. I want to give some considerations to where I put the farm. Among other things, it needs to be relatively temperate. So I have, if we look at our seeds here, I have mealwood seeds and these other ones, blossom seeds. Briar seeds are actually inedible. They're for decorative plants. Mealwood seeds need temperatures that humans are comfortable with. Blossom seeds actually need very cool temperatures. They can thrive in conditions like -20 to about low positive 20s. And around machines, temperatures tend to rise a little bit higher than they're comfortable with. So if I want to grow any blossom seeds, I may actually want to build the farm closer to the ice biome over here. But as I was saying, the a good location for the mealwood seeds is probably maybe around here in the middle of the dirt pile that I start in. It's far enough from the hot machines that the plants won't get overheated, and it's also relatively far from our hotter biomes, like the igneous rock biome here. So we've got a cavity over here. I think it would not be a bad idea to get down into here and build our planters down here. Bonus, it's also close to the outhouse, where we will also be putting the compost pile. So the compost will be nice and close to the farm. And as we excavate out this area, we can dig up all this algae to produce air. Okay, now we're in a position to accept more duplicates. Let's take a look. Immediately, the first thing I always look at is decor expectations. The higher the decor expectations, the more they will get stressed. And later on in the game, when you're trying to de-stress people by assigning them to massage tables, it's a big pain in the butt. So lower decor expectation is better. Hassan is actually looking quite attractive. Very low decor expectations. He can eat anything without getting sick. Again, specifically, that means he can eat mush bars without getting diarrhea. He's good at a random grab bag of things. Now, he doesn't sleep all the way through the night. I don't think that's a problem. He may suffer from interrupted sleep, I guess. He also farts a lot. That can bother your other duplicates. But I think it's worth it. So we'll take Hassan here. Now, I've already got a 4th bed built, so I don't need to construct any more. But if I accept any more duplicates, I'll need to consider more living arrangements. Alright, so we'll leave this queued up. Now, no one can access this ladder because there's solid rock in the way. I'm going to, here we go. Let's adjust that a little bit. And in anticipation of having a planter box, I am also going to lay out the foundations for the compost heap. 1, 2, I know it happens to be too wide. Oh, wait a second. So here's a water reservoir. And you can see the area I intend to excavate out is, it doesn't breach the water, which is ordinarily would not be a concern. However, walls that are only 1 tile wide tend to erode over time in the presence of water and sometimes caustic gases, and they'll actually erode away, creating a hole into which water will pour. I actually kind of want to avoid that because that's going to cause all kinds of havoc in my base, so I'm actually going to, can I scooch this 1 tile closer? I guess without the other retaining wall. I'll put it down here. So that leaves, and what that does is it leaves natural rock of at least 2 tiles wide, so it will not erode away in the presence of water. And that should do it. There we go. Now, as these get dug out, actually this sand layer is going to fall down because it becomes affected by gravity. Sand by itself is actually not capable of supporting itself against water. So if I ever excavated out, say this sand would immediately collapse, and then of course the water would pour through. I believe sandstone is also prone to collapsing under the weight of water, but it takes longer. Anyway, let's not actually dig this. And we'll speed up time a little bit. Now we're running a little short on calories. Let's see. Yeah, better queue up some food production. So again, like research, I could queue up infinite mush bars, but let's just queue up 6 for now instead. If we take a look at the mush bar, actually, we'll see that mush bars are the cheapest available food, but they also consume the most water in their production, 75 kilograms, whereas Life Loaf only consumes 50. And of course, it carries with it the chance of causing diarrhea. Diarrhea is mildly unpleasant, not fatal. It does cause your duplicants to stop what they're doing and run for the toilets, though, which makes them overall less productive. So diarrhea is probably something you want to avoid. Research continues, and actually to save a little power, once this research is done, I'm going to disable the research stations so they don't consume electricity. And what that means is less power coming out of the battery, less time spent on the treadmill charging the battery. Duplicants have more man hours to do other things, like dig this end of the base. I guess I'll also want to consider oxygen generation at this end. Actually, no, it's quite breathable, actually. Even though we seem to be consuming... Let's take a look at yesterday's report. The deficit is actually decreased. I mean, we're still producing less oxygen than we are consuming, but the gap is actually smaller. So I guess... I guess we didn't measure the complete output of... we didn't measure a complete day's output for the algae deoxidizer. Fair enough. We can hold off on building more oxygen generation for now. Okay, so that's notification that the farming technology has been unlocked. I suspect the next thing I'll want to build may be power generation, just so I can build those big batteries, or maybe gas piping, because I really like those gas permeable tiles. It doesn't really matter. I'm not going to research anything right now. Go into here, disable, disable. No more research gets done, and instead, those 2 duplicates go and dig, in this case. There's a lot of digging to be done. So this hatch, as we can see, is slowly turning these crap minerals into coal, which I am storing in various places. I don't have anywhere to put them yet, but when I build a coal generator, I'll be glad I have a giant stockpile of coal. And having an external power source is great, because it reduces the man hours your dupes need to spend powering everything out with a treadmill. I guess it's lunch hour in the beautiful space junk. As you can see, Joshua here is delivering some water from the local reservoir to the food production facilities because they require water in their manufacture. You can see here Banhee has just gained a level, or her skill has increased. Because she's been running a lot, her athletics is increased by 1 point. Now each point of athletics means a particular dupe moves 10% faster. So it was 3, now it's 4. So Banhee runs at when she is not on the treadmill and just wandering around. She will move from point to point 40% faster than the baseline dupe. And here we are, excavating the site of the new compost pile. In fact, I may as well plot that out now. I'll go to refinement, that's our refinement technology. Here's the compost heap. Here's where it will be. Right next to the poop storage, and right near where the Oh, I should also plot out the farm. I guess I'm going to want some tiles for the farm to go on. Also unlocked the algae terrarium, I guess? But more importantly, the planter box. Let's get the farm set up, shall we? Some nice tiles for the dupes to run around on. And, okay, let's see. What will we need here? We'll need a refrigerator, which actually we haven't unlocked yet. Huh. I'm actually going to put a ration box down here, just so that the food that we harvest can be stored there, rather than someone having to carry the food, you know, up this ladder across the whole base and then up another ladder to here. So it can be stored nice and neatly here without having to travel the entire base. And then we will also set up as many planters as possible. I guess I should have excavated out the ceiling. Actually, I can already see this ahead of time. When I excavate out this layer, the sand is going to fall down, and then I'm going to have to excavate it again. Alright, so we'll let the dupes get on with what they're doing without too much further interference. So we've got the beginnings of food production. And once we've got food made out of meal lice, we'll be consuming less water. So the sooner we can get that started, the more water we can save over time. Okay, so planter boxes are complete. I picked the seed that goes in them. So we take a look at this. The two competing seeds. Mealwood seed produces meal lice, which is edible on its own, or it can be cooked into lice loaf, which is much better than mush bars for the economy of your colony. The other seed I can plant is the blossom seed. Now it produces some kind of fruit that looks a bit like a pear, and that's not cooked. It's not used in any recipes. In fact, it's just eaten raw, which is fine. Let's see. Mealwood takes slightly longer to grow, but the important thing here is the temperature. So mealwood can grow in temperatures of approximately 10 to 30 degrees Celsius, where blossom seeds grow from 23 to 27 Celsius. It's actually not uncommon for a base to get approximately that warm. So this is going to be our mealwood farm, but okay, so first, let me get back to you on that point, but first I'm going to clear out the farm, assign mealwood seeds to all these planters. So here's the thing. Each mealwood seed, you'll note, has a maximum harvest of 3. So each plant produces 3 harvests of multiple meal lice before the plant dies. When it dies, you replant it. It will try to replant the seed you have assigned to the planter. The issue is that mealwood seeds often produce, mealwood plants often produce seeds, but not always. And so if you don't keep finding mealwood in the wild, which actually doesn't look to be a problem, because we have a lot of plants in the area, but you will eventually run out of plants and seeds, is what I'm saying. On the other hand, the other plant you can plant is the bulb plant, the bristle blossom, and those seem to produce more seeds. Like each plant produces at least 1 seed, if not multiple seeds. So it's been my experience that you will eventually run out of mealwood plants as they gradually fail to replace themselves over time, but it takes a long, long time. Anyway, so night falls on the beautiful space junk. And I believe Hassan has a narcoleptic trait, which means if we watch him, there's a chance he will get up and do things at night. Oh no, I'm thinking of I guess I'm thinking of a different trait. Narcoleptic means Hassan is liable to fall asleep while he's doing things, anywhere and any place. Not really a problem right now. A little bit annoying, I guess. Let's make this ladder a little bit tidier. Well, what else do we need? Let's take a look at the previous report. Again, the oxygen deficit is growing. Power situation is fine. Calorie generation is fine. We're keeping everyone fed. Okay. I guess we'll want to worry about oxygen generation sooner or later. Okay, we can see here already the air here is getting... Because of the way the air flows in this base, interestingly, carbon dioxide is pooling in this chamber but not this other chamber, because I guess my dupes never come in here to exhale. But of course they're here, and the atmosphere here can freely mix with the atmosphere down here. So I guess this is where the carbon dioxide is going to pool. I guess I'm going to want to put another algae deoxidizer, maybe somewhere on this end at least. And probably the next thing I'll want to research is gas piping, to use the gas permeable tiles. If we take a look at the way our breathable air is distributing itself around our base, if I put some gas permeable tiles in our main floor layer, carbon dioxide will be able to fall straight through. Yeah, so it won't pool on the first layer at all. It'll just fall through to the sub layer. Let's see. Okay, we're okay for food. I think we could actually re-enable the research stations. And we'll start researching... Yeah, gas piping is probably a good idea. In the meantime, we'll build an algae deoxidizer. Let's say... It seems a waste to put it right beside the compost heap. But frankly, that's the most traveled area after the research floor we have up here. People will be pooping in here and tending the farms and also turning the compost heap. So it's not a bad idea to supply some oxygen here. So, algae deoxidizer, let's say here. So we're going to have to power it. It's a long way to go for a power grid. I do like the ascending xylophone noise as I stretch out the wire. That should actually do it. So once it gets built, and has algae delivered to it, our base should be fully oxygenated. So what's everyone up to? May is generating power, charging the batteries. Hassan and Banhi are doing the research. Joshua is delivering... He's delivering things. So he's sweeping crud off the ground and putting it in storage, and also delivering supplies, like delivering metal to these locations where it can then be built into wires. In the meantime, we can take a look at how mealwood is progressing. It's in the optimal temperature range. It's growing quite well, and also it's benefiting from... Is it fertilized? It's actually not yet fertilized. I suppose it's because we built the compost heap only quite recently. It'll grow even faster once we can supply it with fertilizer made from human poop. The glorious carbon cycle. Here we go. You can see Joshua does not enjoy tilling the compost heap. Alright, well, I think that's long enough for this episode. So, that's the beautiful space junk. So, my name is Alfred. The game is Oxygen Not Included. It's currently under development by Klei Entertainment, who've previously done games like Don't Starve, Invisible Ink, Mark of the Ninja, Shank. The game is in pre-alpha early access. It's still available for purchase, and if you purchase in early access state, you'll receive the game once it's complete. Looks like we have completed our gas piping research. Nice. Just disable you for now, save a little power. Yeah, so if this game looks interesting to you, maybe consider buying it. Otherwise, you can watch me play through my colony until we run out of food and everyone starves, I guess. Alright, thanks very much for joining me. I will see you next episode.